Well, a very good morning to you. Hi, everybody. Welcome back again to Journal Entries. My name is Kasim. I hope all is well. I hope your week has been treating you okay. So this week, I like to mix things up. I like to do things differently. I like to experiment, and I like to go with my intuition. So this week, what I wanted to do is spend the next sort of half an hour or so going onto the studentroom.co.uk, which is sort of a university college student forum, and answer some questions. Wherever I go, have a lot of people who ask me questions, whether it's students, whether it's parents, whether it is professionals, because I've had such a wide life and I've experienced a lot of different things, whether it's me being an escort, the drink driving, the involvement in drugs, the alcoholism, the homelessness, the mental and psychological issues like my two suicide attempts. I've gone through a lot of things and they vary in very different ways. And so people ask me a lot of things because obviously my perspective is very varied because of my experience and some of the things that I've gone through. And I always say to people, and it's something that I've realized about myself, that I've been one of the lucky people who've gone through a lot in their life, and it hasn't sort of affected their psyche. It hasn't affected their personality. It hasn't affected their zest for life. And the reality is that a lot of people, when they go through crisis or when they go through trauma or when they have extreme adversity, many of them are hindered, whether it is emotionally, psychologically, whether it is in terms of their interpersonal relationships and their ability to make contact or their ability to connect with people. There seems to be an interference, a crack, if you will, in that ability to be able to bridge whatever it is that they may be seeking in their life. And I've been one of the lucky people who's not had that. So what I wanted to do is over the next half an hour or so, as I've been saying, is go onto the student forum and share and answer questions because I can't answer every single person's question who I come across in live, but this is a really easy way for me to give my perspective and it's fun. I really like it. I think it's fun. So I'm going to share my screen and then we will get going. So I tried to do one of these before, but people couldn't see it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in as much as I can so that you can see what I can see. Okay, here we go. So let's scroll through. Let's see what we can do. And I'm just going to choose whichever question sort of stands out at me, and then we'll go from that. So there is a question here, which is from somebody called Arctic Foxy. Arctic Foxy says, if someone told you that if you went into a sauna for 1 hour, you could win life-changing money, would you accept? So let's answer that question. In fact, let's come out so you can see me and let's answer that question. So the first thing that I would be saying in response to this question is something which I actually saw in what somebody else asked, which is what's the catch? If somebody's offering me huge amounts of money, if somebody's offering me something of high value, which many of us would consider to be high value, a car, a rare car, a house, a really expensive guitar, anything of that kind, and they're offering it, and it's the exchange is not of equal value, the first thing that will be coming up for me is what is the catch? What are you wanting in return? And the reason why I say this isn't to say that the person has bad intentions, but it's just to say that we live, unfortunately, if you live in England and you live in Britain, we live in a transactional world. Okay, Britain is transactional. From when people are young kids, they're trained to exchange things for something. And there is a cost to everything, and there's a payment to everything, and you people don't just willingly give freely without wanting something in return. And the reason why I'm saying all of this is, of course, there are many people who do, particularly people who come from positions of faith. people who have very strong ethics and convictions and integrity, they will do things because it feels good, because they want to. Well, I always actually say that technically speaking, there is no such thing as not something for nothing, because sometimes if you are genuinely a good person and you're giving freely, in the background, or the shadow intention, it might be that you are actually wanting to do good so that you can go to heaven, so that you are still in integrity with yourself, you're in integrity with your faith positions. So technically speaking, there is no such thing as something for nothing. But in the context of this conversation, I would be asking if someone is offering me a huge amount of money. I'll be for something as simple as going into a sauna, which I think some people can survive. Obviously, some people can't because everyone is different. But for me, as Kasim, I would be able to survive in there for an hour. Um, but the other thing that I would also be asking is, how much is the money? Because money is subjective, and money uh, is different to different people. To some people, buying £100,000 bag isn't a lot of money because they have humongous amounts of money. To some people, going and buying vodka or going and buying £300 or £350 Creed Aventus aftershave is a humongous amount of money. To some people, it's nothing, right? And so one of the other things that I would also be asking, and I'm deep in this because question, I understand the question is actually quite a simple question, Arctic, by the way. But what I would be asking is what percentage of the person who's offering me money in terms of their assets and how much money that they have, disposable income they have, what percentage is this? Because if somebody is, for example, offering me 10 grand, but they're a billionaire, 10 grand to them is absolutely nothing. But if somebody is giving me 50 quid and they've only got 60, then that is a problem. Do you see what I'm trying to say here? So that's what I would say to regards to that. I don't know whether that answers your question, but the honest answer that I would say is if I was offered this, I would definitely take it. It sounds reasonable to me, but obviously, like some of the other people have been saying, what is a catch would be the first thing that I would be wanting to know. Here's another one here. Oh, this looks good. Okay, so this person, what's their name? Oh, it's not. Okay, here we go. So the person's name is, well, it's not a name, it's a poll actually, from what it looks like. And the poll says, has your life so far gone exactly as planned? Yes, no, but it's worked out fine. No, but it's gone badly. So that's the thingy. We can view the results. Let's view the results. So most of the people have said that no, but it's worked out just fine. Okay, so let me stop sharing and come back to this. So let's go back to the question. Has your life gone exactly as planned? Absolutely not. It is definitely not gone as planned. I always say to people, my dream for myself was always to live what I call the Nando's life. I know it sounds silly, but the Nando's life is that I wanted to be able to do a job where I can go to work from 9 o'clock until 5 o'clock. After work, I'd be able to go for a beer or go to the gym afterwards. um, I wanted to be able to go on 2 holidays a year, one in the summer holidays and one around sort of Christmas time. I wanted to be able to go to Nando's twice monthly, once during the middle of the month and once when I get paid. And maybe the points that I collect, the half chicken or the quarter chicken, I would use it to give me to give me sort of a bonus when I can go and have some food in Nando's every now and then as a treat somewhere um, in the month. I also wanted to live in a 1 or 2 bedroom apartment, and I wanted to be able to do some sort of football or something like that. That is what I dreamt of my life. That is what I always wanted. But unfortunately, clearly, if you're listening to this or watching this, you know that is not how my life turned out. My life has definitely not turned out like that in any sort of the word of the imagination. Um, but exactly similar to what everybody else says, it hasn't worked out like that, but it's worked out better than I ever thought of. My life is now on a path which I never wanted, but it's brought me great joy. It's brought me great fulfillment. It's allowed me an opportunity not only to be able to grow constantly as a person, but to be able to contribute to other people's lives as well. Um, which is very, 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 very meaningful for me. I now, I everything that I do, whether it's the counseling, it's working for the largest online digital mental health company and doing workshops to schools, colleges, universities, professionals, pastoral teams, whether it is writing my books and doing my research and doing research, um, it's really interesting for me, right? So I live a life which I think most people do not have, which is that my life every day is really, really, really interesting. Like I wake up in the morning, like for example, this morning when I woke up, I wanted to come and do this video. Mainly because next weekend I'm going to be going to Reading Festival, and I wanted to try to do this podcast and video so that I can have it in advance in case I'm not feeling in the mood to be able um, to record or my voice goes and I'm not able to do it. And this morning I woke up with vigor and I was like, let me try and add as much value as I can. Let me try to go out there and record something. At the same time, when I woke up this morning, I've also been doing some creating some online posters for my private counseling practice that I can upload online. At the same time, I also have been writing a new Substack because I have a weekly newsletter, and I've been writing a Substack for that, which is all about twin flames and what a twin flame is and stuff like that. And so my days are really good. My days are really fun. My days are really, really interesting. And whenever people always ask me, what should I be doing? Where should I go? Like, what should I, like, what's my purpose in life? I always say to people, don't ask what you can do, ask who you want to help. And so for me, whenever I wake up in the morning, my thing is, how can I help boys and men, which is my mission in my life? How can I help boys and men to become more of who they want to become, to realize more of themselves, to reach their highest potential? You guys know that part of my philosophy and the reason why I started journal entries is because my belief and philosophy is that, look, not everybody is going to make it to be ever reach the highest echelons of life, to be multimillionaires. Not everybody's going to be a king or a queen. Not everybody's going to be born into affluence and power. Not everybody's going to be able to go to the best schools and be well educated and have lots of resources and family support behind them and be emotionally, spiritually, and psychologically attuned and ready to go and at their peak. That's just not life. That's not realistic. Okay. But my belief is that every single person can in their lifetime can gather lessons, principles, laws, they can gather insights. They can learn about what works and what doesn't work. They can tap into their leanings, or they can tap into things that their strengths, things that they're naturally good at, and then they can utilize those to make the world a better place. And those do not require you to be rich, come from affluence, or any of that. Um, a huge amount of that, of course, means looking at yourself, looking at what you have to offer, looking at what you don't have to offer, looking at where you can enhance or add to yourself. Because, for example, for me, I never wanted to do speaking and stuff like that, but I ended up having to do speaking and learning how to speak. And I ended up learning that it is a skill to be able to tell stories, to be able to articulate yourself, whether that for me is through book writing, through doing these podcasts, through doing videos, through creating posters online that for example, for my counseling practice, I've learned these things are things that I can acquire as a person. But I've also learned there's some things that I'm never going to acquire. For example, I find it really difficult to sit down cross-legged. Not that I can't do it, but it's just extremely uncomfortable for me, and I just don't want to do it. My body and my legs and my thighs and my hips for me as Kasim, it's just I just wasn't built like that. I know big guys, bulky, who are able to sit down cross-legged, they're able to do the splits. Their flexibility is just superior, it's better than mine. It doesn't mean that I can't do things in order to improve my mobility and flexibility, but for me, I want to focus on what is most meaningful successful for me. People say to me all the time, Kasim, don't you get bored because you never do anything? My life, if you observe my life, is a very simple life. I literally wake up. If you followed me around for the last 2, 3 years, you would see that my life is basically the same every day. I wake up. When I wake up, I either go for a walk, I go to the gym or something like that. I go to my full time. I go to my. I eat some breakfast or something like that. I go to my full time job. After my full time job, I come home. I go to the gym. After go to the gym, I then do writing or research or an essay or something like that. That is it. That is what I do practically every single day. And I've got to tell you, for a lot of people, that is very shocking. It sounds very boring. It sounds like there is no meaning. But for me, everything in my life is aligned in such a way that it's not boring to me because all of it is curated. I remember I was listening last night when I was driving. Last night I was driving back from Clapham Junction in London, and I was listening to Earl Nightingale, who says that the key to success, as he defined it, is that anyone who's successful is a person who has deliberately chosen a goal or has deliberately chosen and curated what they want and is deliberately going towards it. He said it is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. That is what success is. I'll repeat. Earl Nightingale said that the key to success, a person is successful if they are going towards a predetermined, conscious, deliberate goal because they chose it. They don't have to be there. It is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. That is what he said. And so for me, I feel successful because I'm not I'm not trying to reach a certain goal per se. I'm not trying to The goal in itself isn't really my aim. It's the progress, it's who I'm becoming, right? Jim Rohn said that some of the, and I'm paraphrasing what he said. He said that it's not what we get that makes us happy, but it's who we become and what we're able to give because we become more. Actually, that's a lie. That's a Tony Robbins saying, but Tony Robbins' mentor was Jim Rohn, so he took it from him partly. But that's my point being is that for me, I now no longer live my life based on the attainment of a goal, even though I do have goals and I do have visions and I do have markers. For example, I've had a goal, which is to, by October, finish my current book about why some fathers abandon their children, right? But then beyond that, I then have another book, which I'm going to be writing, which is all going to be about my issues with the Black community. And then, but there is no goal. So you can't say to me, well, is there going to be a certain amount of books that you're going to write and then it's going to be over? No, it is a constant ongoing process. I made a list, what I call my 10-year vision of books that I wanted to write, but other books have come in, right? So it's meant that I've had to make adjustments, that I've had to um, uh, recalibrate my goals and my destination and the route that I'm taking. And that's okay, right? And I think where you have people who are suffering and who are hurting or who are in pain, many of them are trying to resist life. Funnily enough, I've been taking in my counseling practice, I've been collecting. I've basically been trying to figure out why is everybody coming to therapy? What's the themes? What seems to be the common denominator with everybody coming to therapy? And I've been writing down this list of things. And the first thing that is on that list is acceptance. When you look at people who come into therapy and you look at their suffering or their hurting, many of them are trying to resist. They're trying to go against the flow of life. They're trying to resist how they are, who they are, what they want. They're living by expectations that are not theirs. They wanted to please people who are never going to be satisfied. They're trying to be somebody that they're not. They are resisting. They're going against the as ifness of life. And so one of the things that I've learned in therapy, particularly with working with clients, is that a huge amount of life is acceptance, but it's also allowing room in your life for flexibility of mind, of personality, of attitude, of mentality, of your goals, of your ability to connect with people, of how we manifest ourselves in the world. There has to be some level of flexibility. And the more rigid that you are, and as life changes and life grows and society and cultures evolve, you're going to have a really, really, really painful and hard life because you're going to be left behind. It's interesting. I was saying to somebody, I can't remember when it was, but I was saying to somebody that if you look at the people who are going to pass on their genes, the people who are going to pass on their genes today are going to be the people who have the ability to adapt. Because there's a lot of people who I meet and they're like, Kasim, I'm not doing well on dating apps this, dating apps are bad, that. All they do is complain about dating apps. And I say to them, but you must understand there are some people who've mastered the dating apps or they've mastered an alternative way to meet their spouse. And I've got to tell you that if your strategy is I've got a date, I've got to, and you, or I've got to do online dating and it's not working for you, and you haven't adapted, and you haven't, for example, if you're a shy person or an introvert, or you don't have much confidence in real life, to approach women or men or your preferred sex, if you haven't worked on increasing your confidence and self-esteem and approach not to appear creepy or weirdo to women and to understand timing and tone and humor and flirtation and go to the right places because it's all very well if you stay and spend 98% of your time on inside, but you're wanting to meet people, then you have a serious problem. And the people who are going to pass on their genes are the ones who are able to adapt, who are able to evolve, who have a level of flexibility within who they are that they can make the relevant changes that they need to in order to make progress and move forward at whatever is meaningful to them. Those are the ones who are going to pass on their genes because it's all very well. Listen, genes are not the ultimate thing. Okay, I'm just using this as an example. I could use other examples. Um, if somebody wants to pass on their genes, the people who are going to pass on their genes are the ones not necessarily who are the most good looking, because I meet lots of people who are good looking and they struggle in dating. So they're not going to be necessarily the ones who are the most good looking, but they're going to be the ones who are able to adapt. I always say to people, because everyone's like, Kasim, all that matters is money, all that matters is looks. But I'm like, look around at the world around you. The vast majority of people in Britain are not rich. They're not super good looking people, pretty who are like, my God, they look like angels. That is not the most people. Most people are not hugely built in their physique. Most women have stretch marks. They may have a little bit of a big belly. They may have a double chin. Like that cellulite, that's how people actually look. That's the reality of life, right? And it's almost, one day I'm going to write a book called What's Wrong with Being a Seven? And what I mean is by that is I have found that the vast majority of people want to be tens, but there is no such thing. There is no such thing as a 10. The ideal position for you to really be is about a six or a seven. Because when you're a six or a seven, it leaves room for failure. Because like if you're six or seven, it's like, okay, well, sometimes I'm gonna have look pretty, sometimes I'm gonna look ugly. Some days I'm gonna be successful, some days I'm not gonna be successful. And I'm using that number seven to mean at loads of different things. It can be in success, sports, it can be in anything. Um, and the ability, and so sometimes you're going to go down, but sometimes you're going to have great days where you feel confident, you look amazing, your skin's not breaking out, your hair's very, very, very volumized. Like a lot of things are going up, and so you can go up to an eight or a nine or a 10. But my point being is trying to sustain and be at a 10 is very, very difficult. And it does have a cost. And the average person, average, okay? Now, listen to me. Whenever I say average, everybody wants thinks that they're not average and they want to be the exception. But most people are somewhere on average. Most people are somewhere between a four and a six. Four and a six is where most people are. Most people think that they're a six or a seven. I always say to people, remove six or seven, and then you will see where you sit. Because realistically, where most people are is either they're a four or five, or they're like a nine or an eight. Because that's people don't like things that are in the middle. People want to be on the extremes. But unfortunately, actually, those who thrive and do best, to do the best in life are the ones who are able to be in the middle. They have a plasticity about them. So that is that was such a long answer to your question. My goodness me. But I hope that kind of answers the question of has life gone as you planned it so far. Okay. Now let's go into the next question. Let's see what else we have here. Here's a good one. The question is, what do you hope to achieve in your life? The person asks, is it fortune? Is it fame? Is it change the world? Comment below your secret mission for yourself. A dream many don't care, don't dare to dream. What do you dream to achieve in your lifetime? What a great question. I like that question a lot. For me, it's very simple. To be the highest, fullest expression of who I am as Kasim. That's really my dream. That's my vision. And attached to that is to find ways in which I can add value to boys and men. And I chose boys and men because that was my target. There's multiple reasons for that, but that's really my dream. And one of my other dream goals is to leave um, a legacy through books and online media, whether that is podcasts or videos, basically some sort of media in which I can share my ideas so that the next generation, in one way or another, either whether it's my family or it is other people, can improve their life in some way. That those who don't have access to mentors, who don't have access to people who are uh, very successful or who are doing amazing, whether that is in relationship, in fitness and health, they can have access to a normal person. Because my observation has been that the average person doesn't really aspire to be like uh, people who are nines and tens, people who are the top echelons of life. The average person doesn't aspire to do that. My observation and what I believe is that the average person aspires to be excellent, to be competent, to be confident, to be successful, but not hyper successful. And so I don't aspire to be hyper successful, but I wanted to show people that it is possible for just an average person to live the most incredible life. One of my other goals and my other missions in my life as well is to show people an alternative of what a black person can be like. That's quite a big thing to me. Um, I wanted that if one day you meet a black person and you have a really bad experience or you're in an argument with somebody and you are arguing about how bad black people are, or somebody's saying black people are this, black people are that, I hope that I've lived in such a way and interacted people and impressed upon them in such a way that you can say, well, Kasim is not like that. Well, I know a black person, Kaz, and Kaz isn't like that because I think sometimes when you have got, some of us have gone through life and you don't have an alternative, you don't have uh, uh, a scale of manifestations of something, it can be very easy to think that that is the only thing that exists. Black people exist on a spectrum. Where was I a minute ago? Oh, I was at Subway. I was at Subway just getting some Subway, and I was explaining to the guy that there is a variety of black people. There is black Caribbean men and black African men are different. And even within the black African men, Somalians are different to Ethiopians. Ethiopians are different to Ugandans. Ugandans are different to Egyptians, Moroccans, Nigerians. And even amongst in Uganda, there is also a difference in the Ugandans between the Baganda crowd and those who live in Kampala and Baganda. They are completely different, right? Even in families, I keep saying this to people. Two kids, people say, how are they so different when they were raised by the same parents? And I'm like, they were not raised by the same parents. People are not raised by the same parents. And certainly their interaction and the way in which they're parented is not the same. Some parents have favorites. It's much easier to connect and have contact and get along with a child who's very similar to you, likes football like you do, supports the same football team like you do, loves talking like you do, loves the same and aspires to have the same lifestyle as you do. Some kids are completely different to their parents, their personality, their attitude. And you could just see that because we have loads of estrangements in families. We have situations where some people have started off with nothing and have managed to achieve their different domain and have managed to achieve great success. Some people, every single member of their family got divorced, and there's somebody who's been met at like 19 and they've been married, and now they're like 52 and they've been married all that time. There are some people who are brought up in poverty, in a very unhealthy family dynamic and system, and yet they have great contact with other people, great relationships, great interpersonal relationships. There are some people who every member of their family, everyone that they know has mental health issues, chronic illnesses, but they don't. This is what I'm going to say here. And so there is a difference in people. There is a difference in people. And so what I wanted to do is using my life and who I am as Kasim, I wanted to tell my story. And I wanted to tell my story and what I believe and what I know to be the truth as far as I see it, which can contradict other people because what do I know? I'm just one person. And really, everything that I know is only being based on what I've experienced and read. And there is so many more experiences I haven't had, and there's so many more people I haven't met. And I wanted to be able to show that there is a spectrum because once people notice that there is a spectrum, people move away from judgment. And the thing that I've observed is that when people are judged or shamed, people then isolate, they become insular, they turn inwards. They don't bring out more of themselves, they don't manifest out in the world. They start becoming protective, defensive, and reactive instead of being proactive, connecting, embracing, introducing, building. That's just not what people do when they've been shamed or they have been judged. It's been my observation. You might have had a different experience, but that's something that's really important to me. I also would like in my lifetime to write the 70 books. I'd like that to be my goal because the people who I aspire to be like, the likes of Jim Rohn, Tony Robbins, Brendan Burchard, Dr. Miles Monroe, T.D. Jakes, these men and women, actually, well, they're men, actually, all of them, but these men, that I could mention women as well, but these men who I aspire to, they've kind of lived the life that I would like to live. They've achieved the kind of lifestyle and the kind of level of wisdom and thinking. And I believe that my part to trying to get 70 books written will also be able to allow me to perhaps be able to reach that level of humanity that they have. Now, listen, everyone is no one because you know my thing, no one's perfect, right? And people obviously, excuse me, show off the best part of themselves. But I would like to try and see if I can reach 70 books in my lifetime. I don't know whether it's going to happen or not. I could even go beyond that because I tell you, you know what's going to happen when I get to 70. When I get to 70, I'm going to move the number to a different number, right? But I would definitely like in my lifetime to be able to write 70 books, get my thoughts on. I basically want to leave this planet empty. I want to leave this planet to, uh, I want to give so much of myself that when I die, I'm like, I'm done. I'm done. Like, there is no more that I can do. There's no more that I can give. There's no more that I can experience. Like, I've done it. I've eaten the mangoes from Brazil. I've eaten the pineapple from Hawaii. I've gone to Kenya and tried the coffee, and I've gone to Uganda and had the chapati and the habalagala and the matoke. I've gone and had their fish and chips. I've gone and traveled business class. Like I want to give and live in such a way that when I die, I have nothing left. There is nothing more of myself to give. That, in my opinion, as Kasim, is where I would like to try and get my life to. Is it going to happen? Don't ask me. I have no idea. uh, if it's ever going to happen. Um, I did have a dream of starting a family and having being married. But to be honest with you, I've got to the point in my life just observing me, observing other people that I don't think that is probably going to happen. Just because of what I know, where I'm trying to go, how busy I am, my lifestyle, I don't think that I'm going to be able to have that standard picket fence like uh, family and picket. That's just not going to happen for me. I don't think. I don't like being trapped. I don't like feeling like I don't have room to grow. Of course, and I'm hearing you say, well, Kasim, in some marriages and relationships, that is not how it is. The person has a lot of freedom. You feel secure. I understand all of that. But for me, I don't think that is going to be. So really, that means for me, my thing is, um, and in my lifetime is to just ensure that I have contact and intimacy, and a great sex life, of course. Um, not in the context of a marriage and the nuclear family, if that makes sense. So that's kind of it. I'm going to stop there. I don't know whether I answer that question because we're coming up to 40 minutes and I said I would only do this for 30 minutes. So I don't know whether that's been useful to you or not. I'd love to know what you think, actually. That'd be interesting. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Has that been your experience? Is it not been your experience, some of these questions? By the way, if you have a question and you're like, Cass, can you touch on this? Like, give me your opinion on this. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Email me. I'm sure you'll find me online. It's not that difficult. Just put my name, Kasim, into Google and you find me. I've got a counseling practice. I've got all sorts of things out there. But otherwise, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you are on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, you know how these things work. They the more you comment and you leave stars, the more the podcast goes up, blah, 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 blah. You'd be a star if you could do that for me. Anyhow, I hope you have a good week. I'm having a good week because as you're listening to this, I'm at Reading Festival and I'm having a fantastic time. So I hope that I've recorded this 1 week in advance because on Reading Festival is going to be on the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Well, it starts on the Thursday. Um, and usually when I record this is on the Sunday. And I don't want to record this on the Sunday because my voice might be gone, and I don't want you listening to a crackly voice. So there we go. Thank you very much for listening, and I will speak to you very soon. Bye for now.